Good day, everyone.
I am Chanel and Veronica S. CRUZ.
And I am Linda Antoinette AGMATA.
And we will be discussing Unit 2, Module 2
of Acuña's book on philosophical analysis. Join us as we compare the two major traditions of philosophy. Let us first begin with our objectives. Through this module, we will be able to explain the three central issues in epistemology, compare and contrast rationalism and empiricism, and lastly, differentiate the two types of knowledge claims. Let us begin with the three central issues. Ano nga ba ang mga ito at bakit natin ito kailangan pag-aralan? We need to study the three central issues because the best way to compare and contrast rationalism and empiricism would be through answering these three questions. These are: what is the source or sources of knowledge? Second, given the source, what can be known? And lastly, how do we validate our knowledge claims? All theories of knowledge from the ancient times down to the present must first provide an answer to these three central issues. Consequently, any comparative analysis of theories of knowledge must begin from these three central issues as well. This is our foundation or bottom line. Now, let us consider how the rationalists would provide an answer to the three central issues in epistemology. Let us begin with the background of rationalism. Rationalism is represented by these philosophers: René Descartes, Baruch Spinoza, and Gottfried Leibniz. According to them, the only source of knowledge is the faculty of reason. And the type of knowledge the source can guarantee is formal knowledge found in the formal sciences. And the rationalists accept only one theory of truth, namely the coherence theory of truth. Coherence theory of truth is used in verifying formal claim with the use of the faculty of reason. Ang ibig sabihin neto ay kapag ang iyong belief ay nagko-cohere with your other beliefs, then it is true. An example would be if I say the table is in the room and it fits in with other statements that are a part of it. An example of these statements could be a room is a space that can be occupied, or a table is a piece of furniture with a flat top and 4 or more legs. Since these statements cohere with my first statement, then the statement must be true. Moreover, the rationalists believe that the five senses are not a genuine source of knowledge. Why? Take a look at the Leaning Tower of Pisa. From afar, the tower may seem shorter, but when you go nearer, it will seem taller. Another example would be this mountain. From a farther distance, the mountain may look blue, but it is actually not. From these examples of perceptual illusions, the rationalists conclude that the five senses cannot give rise to genuine knowledge because the knowledge derived from experience is unstable, unreliable, and worse, may even be contradictory. According to René Descartes, a strict application of pure reason to all epistemological problems is the only way to attain knowledge and certainty. Moreover, knowledge derived from reason resulted in formal sciences like algebra, geometry, mathematics, and logic. These sciences provided the model for certain knowledge using coherence theory of truth. And that is it for rationalism. I now hand over the mic to my partner, Chanel.
Empiricism. It is represented by the three philosophers, namely John Locke, George Berkeley, and David Hume. These empiricist philosophers do not deny that yes, reason is a genuine source of knowledge as stated in rationalism. However, they believe that for us to gain knowledge on the physical world, we have to use the faculty of the five senses, however unreliable or faulty it may be. This is because it is the only faculty that can come in contact with the physical world. So in contact, meaning nagkakaroon tayo ng knowledge or awareness sa physical world sa pamamagitan ng mga imaheng nakikita natin, mga bagay na nahahawakan, odors we can smell, flavors we can taste, at ang mga tunog na ating naririnig. So ang lahat ng ito ay gamit ang faculty of sense perception. Kung sa rationalism ay it only accepts the coherence theory of truth, which is verifying a formal claim with the use of the faculty of reason as stated sa report ng Group 3, sa empiricism naman ay it accepts two theories of truth, the coherence and the correspondence theories of truth. So yung correspondence theory is verifying an empirical claim with the use of the five senses. According to David Hume, all perceptions of the human mind resolve themselves into two kinds, the impressions and the ideas. So first is yung impressions. These are perceptions which enter with most force and violence. So it is a result of direct experience both internally and externally. Meaning, ito yung una nating nararamdaman, una nating nakikita, ito ang unang tumatatak sa atin or impression gamit ang faculty of sense perception. Hume also said that impressions include sensations, which are primary or original impressions, and passions and emotions, which are secondary or reflective impressions. This is because they make their first appearance in the soul with great vivacity. On the other hand, ideas are faint images of these impressions in thinking and reasoning, meaning idea is a simple copy or a reproduction of the spontaneous impression. This is because Hume said that simple ideas in their first appearance are derived from simple impressions. Kaya tayo nagkakaroon ng idea is because nakaranas tayo ng impressions gamit ang faculty of sense perception. For example is, kaya mo nasabing masarap ang isang pagkain is because natikman or nalasahan mo na masarap ito. So based sa sinabi ni Hume, hindi lang ang sensation or use of five senses ang inaccept niya, but also passions and emotions as genuine impressions giving rise to genuine ideas. But the positivists accepted and emphasized only two objects of human reason, namely the relations of ideas and matters of fact, and conveniently forgot that passions and emotions are genuine sources of ideas. So as mentioned, all the objects of human reason or inquiry may naturally be divided into two kinds. So first is relations of ideas, in which every affirmation is either intuitively or demonstratively certain, and that a denial of such a proposition implies a contradiction. Example dito is yung geometry, algebra, and arithmetic. While yung matters of fact naman are not ascertained in the same manner, nor is our evidence of their truth, however great, of a like nature with the foregoing. So matters of fact deal with experience and can be denied without fear of contradiction. So the contrary of every matter of fact is still possible. So I will no longer discuss further these two since included siya sa Section 4 of David Hume's An Inquiry Concerning Human Understanding. So a recap lang na the empiricists disagree with the rationalists that the faculty of reason can guarantee empirical knowledge and that this knowledge does not require verification by the faculty of the five senses. According to the empiricists, the faculty of reason can guarantee only formal knowledge from the faculty of reason, and this type of knowledge has no empirical content, since rationalism do not accept knowledge from the faculty of five senses. So the point we wish to underscore here is the agreement made by Hume regarding the distinction established by Leibniz, a rationalist philosopher, between two types of knowledge claims, namely the truth of reason and truth of fact, in which Hume calls the relations of ideas and matters of fact respectively. If there are two types of knowledge claim emanating from two sources which are reason and experience, sinasabi lang na it follows that there should only be two theories of truth responsible for validating two types of knowledge claim, which are the coherence and correspondence theory of truth respectively, as mentioned kanina. So itong theories of truth na ito ay mas malalim pang madidiscuss sa Module 4 of this unit. Next is the dogma. So first, let us define the term dogma. So according to Oxford Languages, it is a principle or set of principles laid down by an authority that is or are accepted by the members of a group without questioned or doubted as incontrovertibly true. So ang sinasabi lang dito na the dogma that there are only two types of knowledge claims, truth of reason and truth of facts, was perpetuated in the 20th century by logical positivists. And while the distinction remains controversial in philosophy, it is still useful and honored in the classification of sciences today, the formal and empirical sciences. And that this distinction has an important use in the study of philosophical analysis. So maaring medyo naguguluhan tayo sa sobrang daming terms na ginamit, but yung iba dito ay same lang ng ibig sabihin or pinopoint out. Tulad ng relations of ideas, na same with matters of logic, analytic, formal, priori, and truth of reason, which are all used to refer to formal knowledge claims. And yung matters of fact, na same with synthetic, empirical, posteriori, and truth of facts, which are all used naman to refer to empirical knowledge claims. And lastly, according sa distinction by David Hume, which na-mention ko kanina, na the denial of analytic statements or relations of ideas would entail a contradiction, whereas the denial of empirical statements or matters of fact is still possible and would not imply a contradiction.
We have now come to the end of this module. But before we go, let us first have a short summary. Once again, we have the three central issues. These are: what is the source or sources of knowledge? Given the source, what can be known? And lastly, how do we validate our knowledge claims? Answering these questions are important to compare and contrast empiricism from rationalism. Let us once again consider how the rationalists would provide an answer to these three central issues. According to rationalism, there is only one source of knowledge, namely reason. And the type of knowledge the source can guarantee is formal knowledge found in the formal sciences. And the rationalists accept only one theory of truth, and that is coherence theory of truth.
So empiricism again accepts two sources of knowledge that are reason and experience, and therefore has two types of knowledge, the analytic or formal and empirical, which can be verified using two theories of truth, namely the coherence and correspondence theories of truth. And that ends our discussion for Unit 2, Module 2 of Acuña's book on philosophical analysis. We hope marami kayong natutunan and naintindihan.
Thank you so much for listening, and we hope that you have a great day. Bye!
Bye!